Greetings, I'm the Bulgarian Troglodyte. Today I'm gonna do a top 25 list of my favorite romance films or films about love in general. This was inspired by Solitary Ronin Films, who has been doing these genre ranking videos. I wanted to do response videos to some of the other genres as well, but I haven't been able to compile those lists because to me it's too hard to rank films within genres as I don't really think about genres that much when I watch films or when I think about films. And I also noticed that Steve for Films, a good YouTube channel, did a response to Solitary Ronin as well today. So go check that video out and go check out Ronin's video. But anyway, let's get into this topic now. So while I'm a pessimist in life, there are so many bad things in the world going on at the moment and so many things that have me worried and disappointed and angry. But I still believe in love, romance, because I've seen it, I've felt it. So that's the one good thing in the world to me, and something that I believe in. I mean, art and love are the two good things in the world, and pretty much everything else is shit. But yeah, so I'm a romantic at heart. I'm very idealistic in this matter. But some of these films aren't very idealistic or very romantic in a way. Some of them are kind of darker romances or darker relationship films. And many of these films are films that I've talked about so many times on my channel, so we'll try to go through these fairly quickly. So number one choice um, shouldn't surprise you. It's the Entourage of Cherbourg, which I mention in pretty much every other video, I guess. So it might be my favorite film of all time. I started to think that it just touches me so deeply. And it's a romance that doesn't really work out in the end. So it's one of the sad romances in this list. But yeah, it's such a beautiful film. Then we have Blue Velvet, which has a couple of different romances. There is the romance between Geoffrey and Dorothy Valence, but then with Geoffrey and the Laura Dern character as well. And it kind of shows the true power of love in the end, that even though Laura Dern's character is very broken when she sees Dorothy Valence in Geoffrey's arms, but then in the end everything is good, everything is sunny, and everything is full of love and empathy and beauty. So yeah, it kind of shows that love conquers all in a way, even though it's a very dark and violent film in many ways. Then we have Three Iron, where we see this really beautiful romance between two really broken people, and they actually never say a word to each other, but we just know that they really care for each other and they understand each other. Yeah, so it's a very beautiful romance, but also very weird and different type of romance. Yeah. Then we have a letter from an unknown woman, another very sad film. It really breaks me in the end when the main male character realizes what is going on. So yeah, there are some really romantic, beautiful kind of classic Hollywood type of scenes here as well that feel very cheesy, but in the end, it's a very dark film. Then we have an Ali Fearist Soul by Fassbinder, which is a different type of romance, a very taboo type of romance between this old German woman and this younger migrant man. They care for each other, they have a good relationship, but then the world around them judges them. So it's a very dark film, but in a way hopeful. Also in other moments. We will actually discuss this on our podcast later this year, so look out for that. Then we have Hiroshima Mon Amour. It's a romance between a Japanese man and a French woman. And based on that title, you can kind of guess the context of the film. And it has that kind of cold French New Wave style, but it ends up still being like very romantic beautiful and touching, even though it kind of has that cold-hearted French New Wave approach to it. Yeah, I really love this film. Then we have Le Notte Bianche by Visconti. So you could say this also has kind of two romances. We see this man meeting this woman randomly. The man falls in love with the woman, but the woman um, is love is in love with another man who hasn't been in her life in a while. But then we kind of see that maybe she will fall in love with this man that she meets, but yeah, it ends up being quite sad. But I don't want to spoil the whole thing. But it's really beautiful and heartbreaking film. And the Dostoevsky short story White Nights is an amazing masterpiece of a short story as well. Then we have Eric Rome's A Tale of Winter, one of his Four Seasons films. And this is all about true love. We see this character. She had a brief romantic relationship with a man, and then she can never forget that man. There are other men in her life, but she never falls in love with any of those other men. So we can see how even a very brief relationship can leave such a huge mark on you, and how you can have that undying love. I absolutely love this film because it kind of um, plays to my idealistic nature in a way, and yeah, I can just relate to the ideas of this film very heavily. Yeah, it's such a beautiful film. Yeah, and it represents certain kind of things in my own life as well. So it kind of has like a very special place to place in my heart. So shout out to Tony as well because he loves this film as well. Yeah. And then we have Kamikaze Girls, which isn't like an explicit romance, but I like to kind of think of it as an lesbian romance, even though it doesn't again do it very explicitly or it's not in your face, but I think it's pretty really queer, both in terms of the relationship, but also the aesthetic of the film, and I like to think of it as a romance. So yeah, such a beautiful movie. I'm actually finally getting this one on Blu-ray next week. I ordered it from the Arrow website, the Third Window Blu-ray, and I think it's currently on Helsinki, and I don't live in Helsinki, so it should arrive in my home probably either tomorrow or the day after. But looking forward to getting it on Blu-ray. Then we have this beautiful gay romance Weekend by Andrew Hay. So it's this kind of weekend romance between these two young men. One of them is a bit more reserved, and one of them is this kind of very outgoing type of guy. They have a one night stand, but then they kind of fall in love quickly. But then they realize that one of the guys has to move to another country. So it's a very brief romance, but very powerful one. And it has kind of that social realist style to it, and I absolutely love that film. I've seen it 3 times, and we will probably do this one for the podcast as well. Then one of my favorite first time watches of the year, so it's Nobuhiko Obayashi's Miss Lonely. This is available in 1080p quality in the Internet Archive website, archive.org website, and many Obayashi films are available there in good quality if you're interested. But this isn't just a romance, but there is a big kind of romance element there, but it has this kind of teenage nostalgia thing in there, and those kind of strong feelings you have when you are young, and also when you kind of don't let go of those things even when you get older. So very nostalgic but very beautiful film, very funny and quirky film, and great example of Obayashi style. I was absolutely blown away by this. But it's weird to watch those Obayashi films because they kind of feel like masterpieces and complete trash at the same time because they have that kind of lowbrow trashier element to them, but then they also have this kind of very methodical, beautiful, magical, whimsical art house thing to them as well. So it's kind of really hard to um, put his films into a box because they are kind of like two opposites at the same time in a way. You probably know what I mean if you have watched some of his films. Then we have Oasis by Lee Chang-dong. This will be on the podcast very, very soon in September. So look out for that. I'm very much looking forward to watching it again. But it's about this very kind of taboo relationship, and the relationship starts in a very, you could say, brutal way, and that kind of makes the film a bit problematic, I would say. But it's the romance between this woman who has cerebral palsy and then this man and the man is kind of really, I don't know, like how to describe him, but he's like very abnormal, you could say. And it feels like he doesn't realize the consequences of the things that he does. And yeah, he does some really weird and stupid things, but then at the same time, he seems to have a heart and a good side to him as well. So it's a really kind of, again, something that you don't usually see in films. Lee Chang-dong doesn't judge any of the characters. He just lets you kind of make up your own mind when you watch the film. But anyway, we will discuss this soon on the podcast. So looking forward to that. And this one we already discussed on the podcast. So it's Pauline at the Beach, Pauline à la plage by Eric Romer. So this is kind of a full-on soap opera relationship, kind of twisted drama thing. Yeah. So it has kind of several romances in it and lots of scheming and things like that. But yeah, it's that kind of sunny, intellectually done soap opera, and I love again art house French stuff, but I also love soap opera, so it's kind of a perfect mixture for me. Then we have But I'm a Cheerleader, which is also a film that kind of balances darker themes, but also it has a more of a quirky, funny tone in many moments, and there is this beautiful romance between the girl you see in the poster and then another girl, and it's a really beautiful, quite cheesy romance in the end. But yeah, I really love this film. Then we have The Young Girls of Rochefort by Jacques Demy, a really beautiful, joyous musical. It's also about love. It's about these two sisters and their life. But yeah, it's not like a full-on kind of traditional romance or anything, but it has those kind of romantic relationships there as well, and those romantic pursuits, you could say. And I've now seen this film 3 times. The first time I watched it, I liked it. The second time, I liked it a bit more. But now I watched it for the third time, like 2, 3 weeks ago, and now it kind of fully clicked with me. And now I consider it to be an all-time favorite. It's just utter perfection aesthetically. The music is great, and it has been stuck in my head since I last watched it, and I've been listening to some of the songs again. And yeah, it's such a beautiful musical, one of the best. Yeah. Then we have another kind of darker romance, so it's Von Kar-wai's Happy Together. It's about this male couple. They move to Argentina, but they have a very toxic, troubled relationship. They seem to love each other, but at the same time, they just cannot kind of coexist together perfectly. There are constant fights and lots of toxicity in there. When you watch this film, you don't necessarily like the characters as they kind of come across as very toxic to each other. But there are moments of beauty and love here as well. So yeah, it's very, very interesting film. Then another Obayashi film, his Motorbiker Island, available in the Rare Film website, available on Third Window Blu-ray, available I think also in the Archive website probably. But this is all about young love, how it can be very passionate and strong at first, but how it often ends in tragedy. So yeah, it's also like a very beautiful romantic film, but again, it has that darker edge to it as well. Then we have Haru, which is about the early days of internet and people meeting in the movie forums, and then this man and this woman fall in love through the forums and through emailing each other. So it's a kind of an internet romance, but a very beautiful one and very relatable for us people who connect with other people through films and stuff. Then we have this French New Wave film, Open Coupe, which is all about love, and it has that Jacques Demy aesthetic to it. A very beautiful film, and again, the French do the romance thing so well. So yeah, Lady and the Tramp, romance between Lady and the Tramp, and very beautiful film, even though I've kind of now gotten tired of it. That's why it's a bit lower here in the list. And by the way, this ranking is a fairly loose ranking, and I rank these films more based on how much I love the films in total and not like which has the best romance initially. Yeah. Then we have Misoguchi's The Crucified Lovers, and the title of the film kind of tells you what it is about. So two people love each other, but the world doesn't really accept their love and they try to escape. But as Misoguchi is such a pessimist, such a dark filmmaker, it doesn't necessarily end that well. Then we have Shunji Iwai's Hannah and Alice, which is a love triangle between these young people, two girls and one boy. It has that hypnotic, beautiful, whimsical Shunji Iwai style to it, and it's very comedic at moments, but a good exploration of young love and some of those insecurities and things like that. Yeah, such a great movie. Then I could have picked a few different Kaurismäki films, but I've ended up going with Shadows in Paradise, which is a love story between this garbage driver and this woman, and it's very deadpan, dry. It's not that kind of Hollywood over the top romantic or cheesy. It's more just straight to the point, finish, low key romance, but a very beautiful one of that. Then we have a very recent movie. It's All of Us Strangers, another Andrew Hay film. This really blew me away. And we have a gay romance here, but then we also have lots of we kind of see this character dealing with his childhood traumas and things like that. So it's very sad, emotionally brutal film at moments, but also very beautiful, hopeful at other moments, very empathetic and full of love in other moments. So yeah, it's such a beautiful movie and one of the best of recent years. Then while I have grown out of Paul Thomas Anderson quite a lot, again he was the shit when I was younger, but now as I'm a bit older and I've seen more films, I'm not that impressed by him anymore, even though everybody else seems to be. But this is one film that I still love. It's Punch Drunk Love. We have Adam Sandler, and there is a romance here, but also lots of other things. It's a very quirky, funny movie, also kind of deadpan in other moments. Has great soundtrack, beautifully shot, and yeah, this is such a great movie. And I'm glad that there's some PTA still that I really love. I've been kind of itching to rewatch this lately, so I might watch this again soon, but we'll see. Anyway, that was my list. I compiled this very quickly, so I probably missed some films. And then there were some films where I was thinking that could this be included in romance or not, like Andrei Zulovsky's Possession, for example. But anyway, let me know your favorite romance love films. Go check out Ronin's list and go check out Steve's list. Look out for more videos on my channel. I might still try to do some of the other genres if I can. I mean, I've tried to compile a war films list and then like a funny films list. But we'll see if I do those. And then I've been thinking about doing this anti-spectacle list as I got that idea when I responded to Neil's movie challenge that had that spectacle part. So I kind of got this idea of anti-spectacles. But we'll see about that. And again, new podcast episodes will be out in a week. So anyway, thanks for watching. Don't drink Coke at all. Sayonara and arigato gozaimasu.